people with real jobs.
Hello?
Self-employed people. Which do you want to be? This is Certifiably Unemployable. It's time to fire the boss and become self-employed. Maybe you need a push to get that business or side gig going that you've been dreaming about for years. And if you're an entrepreneur, you can listen to stories and get experience from people who've done it. Get ready to change your life. Broadcasting from the compound, this is Certifiably Unemployable, and this is Sean Dean.
Welcome to Certifiably Unemployable. I am your host, Sean Dean, and once again, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy week. And this week, we actually have a guest that we had on back in December of 2020. She's an author, amongst other things, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Her name is Kristin Beale. She actually is the author of Date Me, Greater Things, and A Million Suns. And so before we go ahead and go further, I want to, of course, welcome Kristin Beale back to Certifiably Unemployable. Super excited about the stuff you got going on in your life. And today we're going to be talking about when opportunity knocks, right? So many times as an entrepreneur, I know myself, one of the things that I've always it's been my rule of thumb is when I'm in a business and if I see a door, I'm at least going to open it and see what's on the other side. And, I think for the most part, entrepreneurs think like that, but I guess we could be surprised thinking that some of them, they want to just stay very narrow on what they're doing, and being focused on what you're doing is good. However, when you have an opportunity, you want to see what's going on. So we're going to talk about that today. So Kristin, what's new in your life? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. My life is crazy, got a lot of stuff going on, but so is the life of an entrepreneur. So
That's right.
I'm loving it. I'm so
That's
happy.
right. So if everybody references back to episode 21 with Kristin, and of course that went live on December the 18th, 2020. She told her story. We talked about her turning her hobby into a full-time income. She's in the process of planning a wedding. She's got a lot of things happening in her life, but she's managing to build her business. And so what we're going to talk about today is how you can take your business, expand it just by creating other opportunities. So Kristin, you have the book, Greater Things, A Million Suns, and then Date Me, right? So tell us about Date Me and kind of what happened with Date Me, how it started. I know we talked a little bit about it on our last episode, but then what opportunity came out of that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So Date Me is a project. Let's see, I published Greater Things in 2017, and I quit my job a month before it came out. Just saying, I hope this author thing works because this is what I want to do. I don't want to be a mortgage banker. I want to be an author. So I quit that. And about 3 or 4 months after Greater Things came out, the money started drying up because people bought the book and didn't buy it the second time, of course. So I had to find a way to make more money, which was either get another job or write another book. So I chose write another book. What is something that I do a lot of, that I know a lot about, that I can write a book about? And the answer was go on bad first dates. So I kicked it up a notch.
Yep.
I updated my profile picture. I went on 32 dates in 2.5 months, which is like lunch date, dinner date, like that, like on the same day, different guy, like 5 dates a week. I just kicked it up to the next level. And I would go home from these dates and I would make a comic of the date, a 6-block comic always, and just, change their names, make a comic, and maybe never have to talk to them again in most cases. I'm in a wheelchair, so my dates were full of the regular hardships of dating, which, there's a lot of them that we can all relate to, but there's also thrown in the rude comments or the invasive questions or just the not really knowing how to have manners around someone with a disability. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but apparently it is to guys that I dated because they just forgot their manners and all that stuff. So, which is great for me because I'm making a comic out of it. So I'm like, the ruder you are to me, like the better my story is. So I'm not dating for the stories, but I'm kind of justifying my wasted time, emotions, all that stuff with
You were using them, right?
I mean, that's what people think. They compare me to Taylor Swift. I'm like, no, because I'm not I'm not dating for the stories. I was dating, like, honestly wanting a relationship. But, you know, if you're going to be rude to me, I'm going to, like, publish you in a book. And
Right,
so,
right.
you know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And so I want to let everybody know that when they see the book and when they hear what's going on with this, the bald guy in the book was not me. I know we all look the same, but it was not me.
Yeah, I know we all look the same. Yeah.
Everybody calls me Walter White. I'm like, so I had to grow a beard because I was tired of the goatee thing. I'm like, I'm not Walter White.
That's awesome.
I don't own a meth lab. No. Yeah. Sorry, I was getting sidetracked. Yeah.
No, cool. That's good. So, so Davey came out in 2018. It was kind of a flop, just in that I realized it wasn't like a total flop. People bought the book, but it wasn't nearly as successful as Greater Things, my first book. So I just kind of told myself, maybe comic books aren't super marketable, and maybe, you know, I won't do another comic book. This was really fun, and I'm glad I did it, but maybe this is my last comic book. So kind of bummed about it. So I started working on A Million Suns. I published that, but in 2019, I was approached by Saltfire Studio, the Tyler Darden, the man who owns Saltfire Studio, and he says, "You have a story." Like, he read Greater Things and A Million Suns, and just by nature of knowing me, he read Dig Me, and he had the vision to read it and say, like, this is a story. There's comedy in here. There's relatability. There's, you know, a unique perspective of Kristin. So he said, "Do you want to make a TV show out of this?" And I'm like, yes. But at that point, two people had already approached me and fallen through with making Greater Things a movie, which I get really excited about, of course, and then it falls through. So I'm like, all right, a TV show, that would be fine. Like, get back to me when you have, you know, more solid details. He did. About a year later, I heard from him again, and we are turning Davey into a TV show. We flew out the main characters playing Kristin, Beale, me, from LA, you know, all the way to Virginia, and people are coming from all around the country to, like, relive my dating fails, which is fun for me because I don't have to actually relive them, but I can relive them from behind the camera.
So right. So that was going to be my next thing. I wanted to clarify. So you're not going to be in it. You're just, so somebody else is playing you. Is that what you're saying?
I am so glad, because I make a couple of cameos, and I have 3 lines in one part, 3 sentences. We had to record that like 10 times because I kept, you know, it's like, you know, good job fencing. I'll, like, teach you a new trick to protect your son or whatever. And I'm, like, messing it up. I'm saying everything wrong, and I'm, like, forgetting and just, like, making a fart noise. I'm just, like, sitting there like, what do I do? Because I'm forgetting my lines. I'm not an actress, but I'm good at sitting behind the camera and nitpicking.
I'm not an actress.
So.
I just play one on TV, right? So
Okay.
So the moral of the story is, you know, because you had a hobby of writing, then you wrote a book, you wrote a couple of books, and because of that, it created an opportunity for you. So where do you see this television show going? I mean, what do you anticipate with this?
So we have really high hopes for it. The first episode is out on YouTube right now, and we are fundraising for the next episode, the rest of the season, all that stuff. We want to be picked up by Hulu and Netflix and all those things. And that is definitely still a possibility, but we need the funds to create the rest of the episode, which is one of the most annoying part of being an entrepreneur, because I don't have a steady income and something I can rely on, which I'll get back to that in a second. But so it's just like fundraising and always kind of like thinking about money, but not worrying about it really, but just thinking about it. So we have high hopes to be on, you know, Hulu and really accessible sites.
So you've got one episode already complete. Are you currently filming episode 2, 3, 4, so on, or are you writing them? Are you in the pause mode? What's going on?
So we have written almost completely written season 1, and we have really hopeful, really ambitious goals for filming episode 2 in April. But it's kind of funding dependent. But we're just being really positive that we're going along as if we're going to get the money for sure, but it's all kind of dependent. So we're counting on people to see the episode on YouTube and say, I love this, I want more of it. I'll throw a couple bucks at it.
Well, we're definitely going to put a link for the episode here in in our show notes. And listen, I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's exciting. And when that opportunity comes into your life, you have to take advantage of it, right? You just never know.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, you had a couple people approach you about the whole greater things. They wanted to do a movie and everything else. And then of course they let you down, but you never know. The third time's a charm and things happen, right? So you can't always, just because you had one bad experience, you can't say, oh, the heck with it. It's never going to happen. So you have to remain open-minded. So I want to remind everybody, if you want to, of course, make comments, let us know if there's anything you want to ask Kristin as you kind of look into her story. And if you go back and listen to episode 21, you understand, that Kristin's got a fantastic story, and she continues to grow. She continues to build her business, and she's super young, so she's got so much ahead of her. So that's awesome. Also on our website, certifiablyunemployable.net, we have our merchandise line. We actually have something that relates to today's topic. It's called "If Opportunity Does Not Knock, Build a Door." So you can go and buy your merchandise with that in particular. So what else is happening? Tell us more.
So I'm working on another book because I want to stay unemployed. And it's speaking to that. It's speaking to my constant hustle, because I have that, and I have a weekly comic that I put out every week, just like my artwork that's from Davey, of course, because it's from me. Just like things that happened that week, or like something funny that came to my mind, or just like entertaining, Monday morning pickup. And I am constantly doing that. I'm constantly writing my book. I'm a guest contributor to the Christopher and Dana Reeve blog, and I'm like doing, I'm just putting myself out there, and it's kind of like a don't sleep mentality. Like you can never really rest, which sounds exhausting, but the saying you never work a day in your life if you love your job is like annoyingly true, because it's just stuff that I love to do, and I get the opportunity to do it day in and day out. And like my responsibility, my responsibility is to draw cartoons every week for them to come out and like write what's on my mind, or like write something that I'm feeling. And it's just such a fun thing and fun way to express myself. And it's so cool that I get to do it and then call myself employed by that kind of work.
Right. It reminds me of that episode on Shark Tank. I don't know, do you watch that show at all?
I have before, but
did you see that one where that one guy, it really appeared like it was total shtick. He was, I want to draw a cat for you. And he came out, he did this little move. I want to draw a cat for you. He did this whole little thing on Shark Tank. Look it up. I don't think the business is open anymore, but he did was he drew like these little cat caricatures, and he sold them, and people bought them, and he made a ton of money. You just never know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's crazy. What really, I think it was Mark Cuban that picked it up on Shark Tank. I was blown away. I was like, wow, and I guess the guy just got burned out. He's like, I don't want to draw cats no more. So he closed his business down. He could still be drawing cats. He could have turned it into drawing dogs, possums, whatever, right? But it's all about opportunity. We got to keep our minds 100% open as entrepreneurs. There's something else that I wanted to mention to you. Oh, you were talking about, how you're featuring your writing and all that stuff. I'm going to be the first to announce that you're going to be featuring some of your stuff on our blog. So I'm excited about that. Certifiablyunemployable.net. We have a blog, and we're in the process of building that. So you're going to be able to read more from Kristin on that. So Kristin, we appreciate everything you're doing as an entrepreneur. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about as far as opportunities and things of that nature, coming your way? And how do you know if it's not a good opportunity? Do you kind of have a word of, do you have kind of a rule of thumb on when something presents itself, if it's not good or not?
Short answer, no, I don't. Long answer, the way that I know that it's not a good opportunity is if I take the opportunity and I say, oh, this is bad. Because things like, you could come to me, 10 years ago, or, in 2017 when I quit my job, and say, hey, one day you're going to have a TV show and you're going to be a 3-time published author. I'd be like, all right, cool. Like, I don't believe you, because a TV show, that's like a dream I never dared have. But then staying open-minded to opportunities when they come, like that, like the guy Tyler coming to me and saying, I want to make your book into a TV show. Like, that's crazy. And like casting someone to play my part, that's crazy. And it's so weird. It's so cool, but it's so weird and it's so cool that it's very easy to think that it wouldn't be true. It's very easy to doubt it, but just keeping your mind open to, too good to be true. I've learned over and over, I say this not to get mushy, but ever since I met my fiance in 2019, it's like I stopped thinking things are too good to be true, because Chris is too good to be true, my fiance, and like publishing a book and making a TV show, that's like way too good to be true, but it's all true and it's all happening. So I never say that again, because too good to be true is just a good situation. So anyway, to bring it back, my advice, my tip is to keep your mind open, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because any new way to make money or make, product is worth pursuing. And you should never really close things down unless they prove to not be right, because things that, also adding to that, write a book, TV show, never believe it. But I just started a clothing line based off of my Date Me, or I guess a merchandise line based off my Date Me comics. And that's something that I would be like, no way, I'd never do that. But then I kept my mind open. It was actually Tyler who suggested it, and I pursued it, and now it's a real thing. So it's fun. It's so much fun. Life is so fun. As long as you keep your mind open.
That's exactly how this podcast started. I've always believed in entrepreneurs supporting one another. When I was a younger entrepreneur, I would like to say I'm still young, but when I was first starting as an entrepreneur, looking for resources, looking for people to help, looking for mentors was something that I was just constantly hungry for. And being that I've been self-employed for over 20 years, I now find myself wanting to surround myself with those people more and more. And I also have such a passion for wanting to help other entrepreneurs. And that's because of opportunity, because of just the way things run in the world of being an entrepreneur. That's how this podcast started. It wasn't something that I was originally planning on doing. I was in radio for years prior. I've got a acting and theater background and all that. But because of my passion for opportunity, that's how the podcast started. So, but I also believe too, Kristin, that when you have an opportunity present itself, I believe that knowing who you are as a brand and knowing who you are as an entrepreneur, that opportunity needs to complement what you're already doing. What you don't want to do is, open up a bait and tackle store in a CPA, because that makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's a weird analogy, and I don't know where that comes from. Is that you don't want it to be random just because you make a couple of dollars. And if you're going to do that, then I think you need to have that vision in your branding, what you're doing. So, of course, that's for the topic. That would be my advice when you have an opportunity. And that's the good thing about what you're doing is everything's complementing the next thing, right?
Right. Yeah, everything kind of brings you back to the brand, which is Kristin Beale, but I can go in all these different directions because my brand is not Kristin Beale. It's not Greater Things, how it started to be. And then I started doing all this other stuff, and I'm like, I got to brand myself so I can, do all this stuff, but it all has to be kind of relevant. Like I'm a Christian person, so I can't be going off and doing, like something completely opposite.
Right,
then
right.
Then it confuses people of like, what is your brand? Who are you? What are you representing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, I need to stick to the brand, which is easy because the brand is me. So
right,
right.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some links to your website. I want to encourage people to check out your merchandise and of course, check out Date Me. Where can we find it on YouTube? Is it actually under Date Me? Is it its own channel or is it under your channel?
Yeah. So it's under Saltfire Studio is the production company. That's the channel. But now that we have so many views, you can just search Date Me and it's the first one that comes up. And I mean, if it's not the first one that comes up, which it is, then just look for my little cartoon saying Date Me, but it's the first one that comes up as of right now.
super cool. Well, if there's anything more we can do to help you and work with each other, I'm excited. You know, I think it's awesome. The whole
We do have if anyone wants to support us, we do have a Patreon and Indiegogo, and those links are in the YouTube page. We're trying to film episode 2, we're trying to film the rest of season 1. But most of all, I just hope people enjoy it, and I'm glad to be able to put it on YouTube so everyone can access it. And I'm so excited to share my story and share my struggle of dating, because we can all relate, because dating is terrible but really fun, but like worth it but terrible.
How many people do you know? You went on how many dates in what period of time?
32 and 2.5 months. There were more like beyond that, but for the book it was.
That's crazy, you know. So I don't know anybody else that's ever done that. I think it's so funny.
I'm proud. I'm proud to be your first.
Yeah. There you go. Well, we appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye,
All
guys.
right, don't forget to like our content, subscribe, share it, and support Kristin and her new endeavor, her new opportunity of Hate Me, the TV show. And don't forget, you heard about it on Certifiably Unemployable. Until next time.
You've been listening to Certifiably Unemployable. Ready to fire the boss yet? You're on your way. Sean has been self-employed for over 20 years. So if that's something that you want to do, something you've been dreaming about for years, Sean has all the knowledge, good, bad, and indifferent. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on Facebook and Instagram at Certifiably Unemployable. Find us on YouTube and at www.certifiablyunemployable.com. Till next time, this is Certifiably Unemployable, signing off.